Peter Thomas Fornatal, happy to be back with you for In the Money Media and the Breeders' Cup, coming to you once again from the Degenerate Flophouse in Saratoga, and joined once again from an undisclosed location somewhere at Colonial Downs, I'm guessing. He's Alex Sausville. Alex, how are things?
I found this back room somewhere that I think people know where it is, but if as long as they don't open the door, I think we'll be just fine.
Sounds good to me. Nice work on your York analysis on the Wednesday cards, giving out that ginormous trifecta, tricast. I think we can claim the exacta in the big one as well. But we're here today to talk about action on Thursday, the Group 1 Darley Yorkshire Oaks at where else? York. Win and you're in race for the Maker's Mark Filly and Mare Turf. And I think this one, in some corners, is being categorized as a race more to watch than to bet. We'll see if we can come up with anything clever. But certainly the top two in the market, it looks a bit of a showdown between Snowfall and Wonderful tonight. Is this race going to be as simple as that, do you think?
It seems to be headed that way. I mean, you're looking at two extremely talented fillies, one of which Snowfall, who's just, I mean, she's been visually impressive with her wins in the Oaks. I mean, it's kind of leaning that way. There's a little talent underneath, and there'll be big prices, but I think it's tough to stray away from the top two at the moment.
I got about 6 people texting me after the Oaks, simply wow, referring to the Snowfall run, and I feel like it just moved. Since I don't know if you could say progressively off a win like that, but certainly in a manner that would make her seem an incredibly serious contender should she turn up for a race like the Filly and Mare Turf, or perhaps even the Turf itself. What are your overall thoughts on her?
Well, progressive is a great way to put it, in the fact that her form as a 2-year-old was, I mean, suspect at best. She really was nowhere near the top discussion. She had a couple disappointing performances, and just as a 3-year-old has really turned it on. I mean, nobody really expected what she was going to do at Epsom. Came back very strong in Ireland as well, in the Irish Oaks. I mean, we don't know where the ceiling is yet for her. I do think Wonderful tonight is probably a good gauge to see where she really is.
That's a good point. Wonderful tonight might become of interest from a betting proposition if the rain does in fact come. That again seems to be a theory I've heard in a few corners. With the ground as it is now, it feels like one maybe to watch or to have a token wager. We'll get to our specifics on that. But if the rain were to come, that might turn things around. How good do you think Wonderful tonight is, and how serious of a threat is she to Snowfall?
So it's really interesting. On one of our network shows, the Nick Luck Daily show this afternoon, Nick had David Menuisier on for an interview, and he said that obviously the main point is to get her ready for the Arc, and she said she'll be a different filly in October than she will be in this race. But then Nick made the right point. He said that for just about every start, prepping for the Arc, and you've seen what she's done. I mean, it's been incredible how she's done, and obviously the soft ground made a big difference. I'm surprised right now, looking at the prices, how short Snowfall is in comparison to her. That's one thing that's kind of jumped out at me. And I do think they're, as far as ability, I think they're going to be very competitive. I think she's a really good chance to upset her. I mean, it really is going to come down to how much more progressive Snowfall is, and whether Wonderful tonight obviously is geared up for this event.
You mentioned the odds right now. The odds forecast 2-5 Snowfall, 100 to 30, so basically 3-1 on Wonderful tonight. Next in the betting, 10-1 Ashada. What do you make of her claims?
She was good in that Ribblesdale. I don't know. The Ribblesdale form hasn't jumped out at me this season. It's a good race year after year, but this season I haven't been thrilled with it. But I mean, she's 10-1 on the morning line. I thought she stayed on pretty well the last start. Should be a good chance. I think an underneath chance, but is a good chance.
16-1 right now. Loving Dream listed in the betting for the ultra familiar team of Gosden and Dettori. Is this another one you think has a chance of making the frame?
This is another one out of that Ribblesdale. It is an interesting runner. One thing that I actually do like is you're going to have Frankie Dettori getting back aboard. Robbie Havlin rode last time. Frankie was on the start before. That didn't go great, but it was over soft ground at Lingfield that day. Watch the ground. Obviously, with this one, it will make a difference. But having Frankie back, I think it'll be a positive.
Bigger prices, the rest. I'm guessing La Joconde going to be taking up a pacemaking role again. Any comments on either Alba Flora or Divinely?
So Divinely's a big price, and the interesting thing with her, so her family, she's a full sibling to Found, who is obviously we are very familiar with here in the U.S. and is from that same family with Snowfall, and in both of her races has run right with Snowfall. So it's an interesting. I'm actually surprised how high Divinely was rated on this. I know she hasn't been to that same level as the 3-year-old fillies we've been looking at, but 60, I mean, it was 60-1 at one point. I'm not sure where she ended up at the moment, but that's just way too high.
So you would try to maybe think about mixing in with the logicals on USA style exotic tickets.
Yes, if the value stays up that high, I think it's well worth it.
We've seen this before with O'Brien pacemakers too. It's not exactly a wild notion that one of them might hang around for a piece. Okay, Alex, we're here to talk about this grade 1. I say grade 1. I'm going to start. I'll just reset that for the reset.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex, we're here to talk about the Group 1 Yorkshire Oaks winning your in race for the Maker's Mark filly and mare turf. How are we approaching this one from a wagering perspective?
So obviously there'll be some prices I think you can look for underneath. I think Divinely's an interesting one at a big price underneath, as well as probably Ashada, but it's a 2-horse race. I would, again, watch the odds because it really does make a difference. You have 2 fillies that should be very competitive. One is the older of Wonderful Tonight, the other being the dual Oaks winner Snowfall. I see how much of a price disparity there is with those 2 horses, and I would go with Wonderful Tonight at the current moment.
I feel like playing Wonderful Tonight to win and then maybe backing up with a one-way Snowfall, Wonderful Tonight, exacta forecast, whatever you want to call it, is the way to go. I take your point about some of the longer chances being able to make the board. If you watch the full video we did up on YouTube, if you're just somebody watching the social media clip of this, you can hear Alex's comments on those few different ways to crack it. But for me, it's Wonderful Tonight with that Snowfall, Wonderful Tonight forecast to hopefully get us another winner in at York this week. We'll be back tomorrow with analysis of the Nunthorpe for the Breeders' Cup and in the Money Media. For Alex Sausville, I'm Peter Thomas for Natal. Godspeed, everybody.